Maybe big data has gotten too big. Whether you're a B2B marketer or a consumer brand, your data needs to be viable, relevant, and accessible so that Stirista can help you retain customers, acquire customers, and make it personal.
Welcome to the Marketing Stir podcast by Stirista, probably the most entertaining marketing podcast you're going to put in your ear. I'm Kevin, the producer here at Stirista. The goal of this podcast is to chat with industry leaders and get their take on the current challenges of the market. Maybe we'll have a little fun along the way. In today's episode, Travis Tallent, VP SEO at Brainlabs, joins us to discuss his company's unique approach to statistical modeling and analysis, and how being part of a high-growth company has put him at the crossroads of tech, business, and creativity.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Stirista's The Marketing Stir. That voice means it's me, your host, Vincent Petrofessa, the Vice President of B2B Products and Partnerships here at Stirista. It is so good to be talking to you. If you're watching us on YouTube, I'm beautifully lit today. I've got my flannel on. It's one of those days here in New York City. It's flannel weather. And yes, so it's nice. I'm here. We're rocking it out. Let's talk about Stirista just for a few seconds. That's all. We don't take advertising in this podcast. We're just talking about Stirista so you know who we are if you're listening for the first time. If you are, welcome. If you're listening and been with us through 170-ish episodes, thank you. We love you. I love you. Stirista, we are a marketing technology company. We own our own business-to-business data, our own business-to-consumer data. We help companies utilize that data to get new customers. Aren't those great? Through our own technology, our own ESP, our own DSP, that's an email sending platform, demand-side platform, display, OTT, connected TV. Email me, vincent@stirista.com. Thank you for emailing me. Is it always for what I intend it to be? No, but that is the risk I take when I give all of you my email. It's okay. Thank you for emailing me. Thank you for coming up to me at different conferences. It's conference season. Thank you for telling me how much you love me, how much you love AJ. Thank you for sometimes telling me how much you love him more. And it hates me to say that, but it's okay. It's all right. I get it. He's the CEO. He's the ideas guy. I'm just the Flash, apparently. No, I'm more than that. Maybe. Anyway, speaking of that, the brains, my co-host, Mr. AJ Gupta. What's going on, AJ?
Hey, Vincent. I think I'm the face of the podcast and you're the voice of the podcast, as I hear a lot. So.
Yeah, I know. Well, I have a face for radio, apparently, as people tell me, or you tell me. But yeah, a lot of people are like, I get that a lot, actually, where people are like, I recognize that voice. I'm like, okay, great. Thank you. But yeah, it's do people come up to you at trade shows now?
It's been interesting. So trade shows, but also some of the spouses of our employees that have absolutely nothing to do with marketing. And they'll be like, oh, I was listening to this episode, or I'll get a text from a friend saying, oh, this is a pretty cool brand. And like, you listen to the podcast? So definitely.
Yeah. It fascinates me. You know what fascinated me the most, I think, about this podcast is hearing, as we do orientations here for new employees, every like 6 months or so, there are a lot of employees like, oh, I already know who you are. I learned so much about the podcast. I actually heard about Stirista from the podcast. I would have never thought it was just like an HR tool as well. So pretty cool. We're doing some cool things here. Talking about pretty cool. Let's talk about our next guest. I immediately like this guy. I immediately like him. He's fun. If you're tuning in again on YouTube, you're going to see a fun shirt. You're going to see a fun background. He's a fun guy. He is coming to New York City next week. Doesn't have time for me. We'll let that slide, but he's in and out. Some great meetings. He's all business, this guy. No, he's fun. He's business and fun. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to love this episode. A warm welcome to the Vice President SEO. I know it's a crazy title. Who has SEO in their title? Someone who's really good at it. And we're going to get to know that. VP SEO at Brainlabs, Travis Tallent. What's going on, Travis?
Hello. Thanks for having me. A pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you. I'm sorry I made you feel a little bit bad there about not coming to see me in New York, but it's like, yeah, way to treat the guest and guilt them into. I'm like an Italian mother. I'm like my mother, who always guilts me. But yeah, Travis, it's great to have talked to you and have met you. Talk to us about. I love your title. Like, how many people I've never seen. I don't know if AJ, you ever seen it? SEO right in the title. You know that's something special. If it's like, oh, are they good at SEO? Well, it's in my title. Here's my business card. If people still use those, I do. But Travis, first of all, tell us about Brainlabs, and then within your role within the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So Brainlabs is a tech and data full service digital media company. We're about 1,000 people across the globe in 14 countries. And my role as VP of SEO is to lead the SEO, search engine optimization, and CRO, conversion rate optimization teams. It's about 50 people globally right now. And that means that I get to build the vision for the product and then work with our account teams to activate that, make sure they have the appropriate talent, tech, tools, process to do their jobs exceptionally well. To your point, I don't know of many other folks who have the VP of SEO as their job title. I can probably count 3 that I know of. It's fun to have that title. It also makes it challenging when you're going into salary negotiations or that type of stuff, because I am the average, I suppose, in that small sample.
That's awesome. It's like you could start like your own like professional group of VP of like SEO in the title. It's like your own like organization there. That's cool. Yeah, it's like, how do you look that up on like a salary.com or something where you're like, there's one of a kind. Well, maybe you just get to dictate it. You could just dictate it.
Yeah, basically.
I love it. So Travis, talk to us about how you got into marketing in the first place.
Yeah, so I went to school at CU Boulder, and I was in the Boulder startup scene. It's a beautiful place to start a startup. Lots of funding, lots of mentors, lots of great business minds from academia and outside of academia. And my first startup was a universal scholarship platform where students could complete one scholarship application, and then any companies looking to give scholarships, any organizations looking to give scholarships, would be able to sync up all of their information, their data, and it was a seamless process for both the end users as well as the organizations to sift through all of those applications. Through that, not only was I in charge of leading the product, so in essence, building a search engine for students to be able to search for those scholarships, I was also in charge of the startup's own marketing. And that really had me learn the ins and outs of Google advertising, Facebook advertising, SEO, as well as offline advertising, and learning the importance of building that type of community to support that startup. After that, as most startups go, we ended up disbanding shortly after I graduated, and from there, I joined WPromote, which is a great agency. And the first 3 months of my joining, they put you through a really intense training program where you learn from the best of the best of Google ads, paid social ads, as well as SEO. And after going through that training program, I decided SEO was the best fit for me.
Travis, I get more emails about SEO services than any other product. So if somebody's young trying to get into SEO, what advice would you have for them?
Great question. For me, what I love about SEO is it's really a black box. So if someone enjoys living in a world of testing and experimentation and creativity, as well as technical skills like development, or any of those things are interesting, either holistically or individually, then SEO is a really great area to lean into. So I think step number one is really just kind of uncovering what your interests are. And then two, reading industry publications like Moz, Search Engine Journal, Search Engine Watch. Then LinkedIn has also some really great SEO minds. Feel free to follow me and then go and see who else I follow, and you'll absolutely find some awesome SEOs to learn from.
Just talk to us a little bit about what the term SEO automation means and what's the problem it's solving.
Historically, SEO has always been a one-to-one service. I would relate this to something like a lawyer. You're very much limited by how many human hours can you put into this activity. And it is a challenge. It's a challenge for companies to scale because you need to hire more and more people. It's also a challenge to prove that value and get that investment because SEO is usually a black box and you're working from theories. So SEO automation solves that in that you are able to automate at scale repetitive tasks. So things like combing through the site to identify which keyword should belong on each page, we can automate that. Coming through the site to identify which canonical URLs should belong on each page, we can automate that. So SEO automation is especially important for very large websites, usually in the e-commerce space. But there's a lot of automation, especially with the likes of GPT, you can do for heavy content sites as well. And
Travis, I almost promise you this will be the last time I say SEO. Well, no, maybe one or two more times. But I know we're getting the nitty gritty on this, but you're here. We have the expert. So what is the role of data in SEO automation?
Ooh, I love this question. I think I'll make my my VP of data very happy when I say this. At the core of it, data is at the heart of SEO automation. Without data, you really can't do SEO automation, at least very well. And what I mean by that is the first layer of automation is trying to figure out how do we automate something that is super tedious and make a manual process automated. But how you really advance that is by identifying and adding in that extra layer of what I would say data thresholds. And when you're able to say, only automate this task if this product page has a certain number of products on it, or only has this certain number of ranking or performance or whatever else, data really feeds that engine to make that automation more of a flywheel, as opposed to just a one-off project automation. And we're when I speak to my VP of data, Roger Eris, about this, he and I are aligned that data really is the future as it comes to marketing. Any large enterprise brand, in every RFP and any big conversation, they're always asking, what can I do with all of this data? And how can I make this data work harder for me? Because all of these companies have vast amounts of data, and where the exciting part and the challenge comes in is, how can I make the most use of that available data?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. As a member of a data company, I could not agree more with Roger. Shout out to Roger there at Brainlabs. Maybe we'll get a new listener because of that. Thank you, Travis. So, talk to us about, you also lead a team, right? Did you say 50? A team of 50 plus employees globally. What leadership strategies and insights have you found most useful in that process?
Ooh, I love this question. For me, empathy is really at the core. And being able to understand what each employee's goals, motivations, learn more about their skill set, their desires, what do they feel they're good at? What do they feel like they're not good at? And when you have that foundational relationship with any employee, you start to feel like you're on the same team. And when you feel like you're on the same team, you can begin to achieve outsized results, because all of a sudden asking for someone to do this really crazy idea then becomes exciting and not annoying. And at the core of my leadership, that's ultimately what I strive for, is how can I build close relationships with people so we can do the best work of our careers when we're ultimately able to work together. And as I like to say, build our Dragon Slayer stories. I want them to have those stories in the back of their mind where 20, 30 years from now, they're at a dinner table chatting with friends and they could say, I did this really cool thing for this really cool brand like Adidas or, some other well-known brand, Otterbach, Cirque du Soleil. And that is what excites me about that.
Travis, tell us about, what are some of the ideal client profiles that you guys are going after, and the certain industries that make more sense than others?
Yeah, great question. So Brainlabs is industry agnostic intentionally. And the reason why we're industry agnostic is because we believe that there are lessons to be learned across every industry. And if you niche down to one specific industry, and that industry is possibly sluggish, just as an industry like financial or car dealerships, both of them are typically well behind on tech investment and that type of stuff. Then the marketing strategy tends to follow and also be sluggish. So by being industry agnostic, we're really able to take learnings from multiple industries and apply them in a way that is very smart and can ultimately move that one particular brand or client forward, regardless of their industry. In terms of our ideal client profiles, we're enterprise. So we focus on companies that are typically 50 million plus in revenue, if not significantly more. And what's really fun about that is enterprise companies, what you find is they typically tend to get in their own way. And we are exceptionally good at building business cases and working with our client partners to help remove red tape, to help build better workflows so we can actually move their marketing initiatives forward.
And then in terms of being in a very competitive space, how do you distinguish yourself from others in the space?
Tech and data, again, going back to the importance of data and what we do, tech and data has always been at the core of what Brainlabs is. And a bit of our ethos is we wanted to build an agency that started with software developers and statisticians and then build a marketing agency around them. And we believe that if we have that ethos in what we do, we can build technology that can outperform the industry. And we can also come up with insights that are that allow us to drive any type of media forward, paid media, earned media, and that is what ultimately separates us in the industry. The other thing you'll find is we're very proud of the product integrations that we have built. Many large agencies, holding companies especially, struggle with that type of product integration. They don't know how to pull in paid search with organic search or influencer strategy with SEO strategy. And we've been built around that integration, and we're doing some really, really amazing stuff where we can pull in insights from all of these various channels and ultimately put forward a holistic marketing strategy that is very compelling and very smart, and ultimately it drives results.
You talked about it earlier, and I think everyone's talking about it, right? It's like how people were talking about the cookie about 3 years ago every time. AI, right? Have you guys adopted it into some of the things you're doing there, the solutions, the way you're marketing? Talk to us about it.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote an article that was titled "2023 is when generative AI, the Pandora box opened," and it's so true. I mean, before this year, very few CEOs knew of this technology. Very few CEOs were asking their marketing agencies about this technology. But the crazy thing is, this technology has been around since 2018. And we were lucky enough to have already been working with some clients on using GPT-1 and GPT-2 to automate some tasks, as well as generate content around product categories and product pages and that type of stuff. So I definitely feel like we were a bit ahead of the curve in terms of how do we integrate it into our workflows. But just like everyone else, I think we were all surprised at how quickly it came to the forefront of the conversation late last year when OpenAI launched ChatGPT. So the exciting part of this is we can build on any of the existing workflows or ideas or products that we've already built. And GPT 3.5 and 4 are so much more powerful. They're a huge leap forward that we're finding new and cool ways to integrate them into our workflows moving forward. So everything from how can we use them to develop code for things like calculators that we can then use to go get backlinks through offsite SEO, all the way over to how can we use GPT to automate content creation or title tag creation or 301 redirects, so on and so forth. And we're doing some really, really cool stuff with these enterprise brands to, again, make sure that they're staying ahead of that curve and not falling behind in the overarching industry.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting to see. A lot of companies have been adopting it in their own little ways. I know some of our, maybe our sales team is using it to prospect a little bit better and say, hey, these are some current customers I have. What are other companies like that? Give me a list of this. So it's been, I think, you're finding companies utilize it in different ways. Some kind of going all in, some just dipping their toe in the water. So yeah, it's interesting to hear. So I want to talk about something you mentioned in the beginning while kind of talking about your experience and how you got into this industry, which is rare in the sense that majority of our guests are like, I studied religion and now I'm in marketing, or they're like, I was a philosophy major who used to do hacky sack and now I'm in marketing. Like, people, it's all different stories, but you actually were in it, and you've primarily been at high growth companies. I don't know, if you just kind of go after that, you luck a little bit of it as well. But what kind of draws you to that type of company or business?
On a personal level, I have a growth mindset, and I really enjoy being better tomorrow than I am today. And I especially enjoy looking back a year from now and seeing how much I've developed and how much I've accomplished within that year. And on a outside of the personal level, being at a company where that's kind of their whole motive and their whole ethos is to grow not 5% or 10% year over year, but 20, 30, 40, 50% year over year. What I've seen happen is that unlocks so much career potential for folks, and someone can dramatically change their life in a matter of a few years being a part of a high growth company, entering at a stage where they're making 40 or 50,000 a year, and in some cities that's scraping by. And within 2 to 3 years, they come in, they crush it, they prove value. They're easily in the six figures, and they're buying their first house and having their first kid. And being a leader in that type of organization is just so much more exciting. Because you get to see that type of personal growth, and you get to see the reward of that type of personal growth in such a big way. So I think both on a personal level as well as a professional level, I'm just really attracted to those types of high growth companies.
Travis, so we like to get to know people at a more personal level as well, as because part of the concept of the podcast when we started it was we were meeting somebody over coffee. So would love to know, what do you like to do in your free time outside of marketing?
Yeah, I wish I had some coffee right now. I have lots of hobbies. As only any good Coloradan would say. I love being outdoors. So I bike all the time. I was involved in a 50-mile mountain bike charity event for Children's Hospital Colorado this past summer. And I absolutely plan on doing that again in the future. Just so much fun. I also play the saxophone in a local in a local LGBTQ plus and ally community band. We're about 200 people strong. We just played in Denver's Ellie Calkins Opera House, which is the second largest performing arts center in the U.S. The only one that's bigger is in New York City. So that was such an honor to play in such a beautiful place and stage. And then last but not least, I really enjoy spending time with friends and family. And I have a very dear to me retired show cat who is very high maintenance and takes up probably way more time than most other people's cats.
That's funny. My cats occasionally make a podcast appearance, but by and large, they keep to themselves. And I got to say, one of the coolest bands that I ever saw was in Colorado in the uh, Red Rocks. It's a pretty wonderful arena. It was bare naked ladies, but they put on quite the show, and I think the whole atmosphere and ambience there is second to none. So you guys are lucky to have that place.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't go wrong with any concert at Red Rocks. Like I every summer I'm usually at least going to 5 if not 10, and it's just a magical experience every summer.
So, Travis, the last question for me. I'm sure you get a lot of messages on LinkedIn and would love to know, what's one that gets a response from you and what is one that really annoys you?
If I'm being honest, LinkedIn messages have gotten a bit crazy these days. In general, my happiness toward them is maybe not the highest, but one that will always get my attention is someone who has done their homework and is reaching out because my interest or something that they think will benefit me is aligned with their interest. I don't enjoy folks who just cold email and it's very obvious that they copy and paste it from something else, sometimes even getting my name wrong. I've been called Patrick or David and it's very obvious, like you didn't do your homework, right? So I always enjoy that. And then I also think something that drives me nuts is sending a connection request and then immediately sending me an ask. Like, again, interact with my post, comment, give it a little bit of time, right? Like, I wanna have a few coffees first before I get that cold email. So yeah, those are my recommendations if you are to reach out. And then last but not least, anyone who is interested in learning about SEO, anyone who's interested in an opportunity at Brainlabs or wants a senior level perspective on their career, more than happy to help. I would say, especially if you're in a minority group, a woman, person of color, LGBTQ plus, more than happy to help. So we can build the future that we ultimately want to build in this industry. But yeah, please don't pitch me your latest and greatest tech idea. I get tons of those every day.
Yeah, I was going to say, Vincent, yesterday I got a message on LinkedIn. Somebody I don't know, it's an insurance salesperson, I think. And it said, I'm waiting for you at La Cantera, which is one of the nicer hotels here, at 11 a.m. And it like really confused me. I had to like search my emails. Did I agree to meet? But never heard of the guy. And then, 30 minutes later, it said, I guess you're not showing up. I'm still pretty confused. I have so many follow-up questions, but I'm afraid to add them to my LinkedIn.
Wow, that is an aggressive tactic, if I must say.
You should have called their bluff. Like, are you really there? That would be, and if he's like, yes, I'm watching you right now. I could see you in your office. That's crazy. Travis, you said so many like funny things that made me smile about your hobbies. A retired show cat. That's awesome. As in, like, your cat was in like pageants?
Yes. Yeah, basically. So cat shows are a little bit different than dog shows. So dog shows, they get to do some tricks and they run around. Cat shows, it's literally just how pretty is the cat. Um and so yeah, my cat's name is Bear, and he won second in the world for his breed, which is Siberian. And then after he won his award, his previous owner felt like she got everything she could out of him, and wanted to find him a new home. And I feel so lucky to have found him. The other thing I'll say is show cats are exceptionally well behaved because they're used to traveling. They're used to getting, picked up and held and their teeth shown and played with. So he's absolutely the best cat I've ever had and ever have met in my entire life, and just an absolute sweetheart. But acts more like a baby at times than a cat.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know you're traveling. You're not at home or else. I would say, I could hear our podcast listeners like, well, let's see that cat. We need to see that cat. That's awesome. And then I love, I love that you play in a band. The band you were referencing that's here in New York City. They play every Halloween, so I'm looking forward to seeing the band and my children hearing the band. It's so fun. That's awesome. So, we're almost done here. Oh, one other thing I want to talk about, Red Rocks. Yes, I never. You were talking about Colorado outdoors. I remember going to Red Rocks, and it wasn't a concert, but me and my buddies were there to see the Giants play the Broncos. And I was just fascinated in how many people were just working out in Colorado. How many people were just at the Red Rocks working out. It looked like couples. And I was like, there's no way I'm ever going on a first date or any date where I'm working out with anyone. But I just was like, just fascinated with it. I haven't done a concert there, AJ. I have to check it out. But, next time. So, Travis, just a final thought, anything you want to leave the listeners with, check out Brainlabs, ladies and gentlemen. If you do check out Travis, get his name right. Travis Tallent. It's a great name. It's a great name. Go by those rules that he mentioned. So, Travis, just a closing thought you'd like to leave us with. Anything about SEO, yourself, the industry, anything you're reading? The floor is yours.
Marketing is a thankless industry. Usually, when you beat the objective, the goalpost just moves, and it's difficult to get those thank yous. So I've always found that the best teams work when everyone is kind and everyone uses more thank yous than it feels natural to. It's really important to build that community. So that's thought one. Thought two, my final thought is SEO is no longer about algorithms, keywords, or rankings. It's really about the core of marketing, which is understanding the human intent behind every search and what platform they're ultimately searching for. And as marketers and as SEOs, our job is to, in essence, understand where is that audience, where are they searching, and how can we ultimately build a compelling enough strategy, brand story to get them excited and motivated about that particular brand.
I love it. Great thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Travis Tallent, VP SEO, Brainlabs. Check out Brainlabs, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Vincent Pietrafesa. That's AJ Gupta. This has been another episode of Stirista's The Marketing Stir. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Stir podcast from Stirista. Please like, rate, and subscribe. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, please email us at themarketingstir@stirista.com. And thanks for listening.